we continue with the next session. So here we have Maarten Hundscheid. He's part of the Totem game development team. Yeah, this is the first and only game development team, student team at the TUE. And Maarten specifically, he's a researcher and creator with the drive to develop gamified solutions for vulnerable groups. And today he's going to talk about one of his works.
Yes. Thank you very much. So today it might probably be a slightly different talk compared to the rest of today. We're going to look more into how to apply certain things. So we created an application called the Eye that aims to teach high school students about the dangers of facial recognition technology. And today I'm going to talk a bit about facial recognition technology itself, how to apply it in a gamified solution, what we actually made, and of course afterwards there's room for questions. My name is Maarten, so I'm part of student team Totem Game Dev. So like was already mentioned, we're a student team here at the TUE focused on game development and game development solutions. I function there as the educational officer and the gamification manager. So I'm responsible for all the gamification topics that we do and all the educational topics that we do. So a nice combination is this sense. Before I go into more of the topic, I want to show a short snippet of what the current state already is of facial recognition technology to provide a bit of context.
Both glasses that will identify anybody on the street. The information of those glasses in just a photo of the face is static. Use it if you just put the glasses on, then as you walk by people, the glasses will detect when somebody's face is in frame. This photo is used to analyze them, and after a few seconds, their personal information pops up on the photo.
Right? You know, right? You're from Bergen County Academies. Your Korean name is Ju.
No. But are you let's see. Oh, okay. I think I met you through like the Cambridge Community Foundation.
So this is a bit of a small context that two students from MIT were just able to use these glasses, run the software on it, go to whatever place they want, scan whatever person they want, and if there's data on them, act like they know this individual. So in theory, not to say that everyone in this room is easy to find online, but I could walk to someone in the back, look at them, act like I've met them 3 years ago at a specific event, like this event, and just gaslight them basically into believing that we already know each other. And that's, of course, quite dangerous in a sense. And it's important that people know these kinds of technologies already exist. To provide a bit of background, especially in this context of high schoolers, is that every day 1.3 billion videos and images are posted to social media like Instagram. And of course, these social medias are generally used for gathering information, posting your opinion, providing some entertainment. And it's used by a large group of the current Dutch population. So in Dutch high schoolers, it's 87.2% that uses social media every day, is constantly posting photos, uploading it to these databases, and spending 4.8 hours on average every day on their phone on social media. And this can be on platforms like Instagram, on Snapchat, TikTok, Blue Sky, whatever. There's a wide variety of options, of course. But in reality, only 53.2% of people are actually aware of what facial recognition is and what it means and how it functions. And I find it very important to make people aware, especially this demographic, why they should or should not post maybe certain images or things on social media. So if we give a bit of an explanation of what facial recognition is, it's a biometric technology. What in short means that similar to your fingerprint or your pupil, it's a unique identifier for an individual. So while some people might have something very alike or there are always duplicates in some sense, your face is quite unique. So everyone in this room will have a unique face, I assume, and have their own way of being able to identify it. And this technology, its main purpose is the identification and verification of these faces in a certain context. So what you see, some very easy examples are like access to your phone. For the people, especially with iPhone, I know I can look at it and it opens up my phone. Very easy context, but that's already facial recognition, right? My phone knows who I am, how I look like, and it allows me to log in very easily, very nice. Or if I place something on Instagram or social media, it automatically is like, okay, I saw this person, I'll automatically tag them for you if you want. So it already immediately applies this to the images you upload. But of course, in a more serious context, it can also be used to identify dangerous individuals in certain environments. For example, if I go to the airport and some camera sees that there's a man who is maybe gonna do something violent, it's better to already have that person in like inside beforehand than if something happens afterwards. So, like I said, a very iconic application is the mobile phone in different contexts as well, not only to log in, but also currently in China, they are using it in classrooms to see if the students are paying actually attention to the teacher. And it's very basic in the sense of if they don't look at the board, they're not paying attention and their mark gets deducted. And if that's a correct way of using it, I won't say, but it's already a very functional application of it. It's also like with the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, which I already showed in the video, also a very easy application. You could in theory just be wearing the glasses and it functions and no one would necessarily know. Or at the Olympic Games in Paris, they actually already used this kind of technology to make sure everyone was safe by using it as threat detection. And they're currently still debating whether they should be allowed to maintain it after the games have happened, because some people feel it's a privacy concern and other people feel like, oh yeah, but it does create more safety for people living in the city. So basically, facial recognition is a part of machine learning combined with a big data set and making some form of prediction. So that can be a picture, which you put into the system. It extracts certain features from you, it classifies it, and you give a certain result. So if I grab this handsome individual, which you might have seen before, you put in a picture, it extracts some points, for example, where my eyes are, where my mouth is, where my hairline is, where my chin is. It will compare them to some other things in the data set, maybe a specific face of me, or just generally if it's a face, and it will provide you with an answer, okay, it's a face. This is, of course, a very basic example of how it functions, but just to get the concept. And a big issue behind it is that faces can already be recognized from a distance without requiring any permission. So even someone sitting in the back, if I use my phone camera, it could already identify them, but not necessarily people in the back have given permission that I can do that, right? And that's a big issue. While there are several benefits, like I said before, there's security and public safety. In certain contexts, of course, it's nice that it's a safe environment where people that want to maybe do violence can already be detected. Or if it's a dangerous situation that's happening, you can already be prepared for it. It's very convenient, it's efficient. I also like that my laptop automatically logs in when I look at it compared to having to type in my password. And it helps with some technological advancements in the context of, if you take this even further, maybe you can look at a face and already see, okay, this person has some form of sickness. However, on the downside, because when you have benefits, there are often also downsides. These algorithms are always based on some kind of data set. And these data sets often introduce quite a lot of biases. So, for example, if I have a very European or Western data set, it might have difficulty making conclusions about more of an Asian population, because the data set just doesn't know, and it will always make a result, and that result can be faulty. You will also often give immediately like an oversight and over-reliance on the technology. So if I go to some industry, like if I go to some factory and there are cameras everywhere, I should assume that the company that has the camera, it doesn't use my data maliciously in any way. But I cannot know, right? Maybe you can assume, okay, in the Eindhoven city center, there's a camera and only the government can see it. So it's probably fine or not. It depends on everyone's opinion. But if I go to another company or a factory or another city, can you still trust or believe that it's fair? And that goes on to the part of the privacy rights and ethics about it, because I don't give permission that if I walk in Eindhoven city center, that my face can get registered and put in some data set. Is that fair? Is that not fair? And the laws are not really up to date to this point yet, because it's already applied in the field, but there is no specific rules about the ethics and the privacy concerns behind it. So how we approach this is by trying to make these 53% of people that are not aware of this technology, We want to make them aware, specifically in this age group of 14 to 18-year-olds. And we want to use gamification and integrate it to create a more stimulating experience for those students. Because you can assume if I give them a textbook about facial recognition technology, they might read it, maybe they understand it, but they might not remember it. To give an introduction into gamification, because it's a very important concept for this topic, for this application, of course. Gamification, the term itself was followed by Nick Pelling in 2002, a game developer. And it basically means introducing game elements in a non-gaming environment. So if I give a very practical example, I can introduce a leaderboard in the classroom and the best students get a cookie, right? By integrating this leaderboard in such an environment, you already create kind of a stimulating or a less stimulating or motivating environment, make it playful in a sense, and in that way create that the best students will try to be better and better, or maybe the third in line will try to be better to become the first, get more cookies, whatever. And that's a very easy way of introducing such a game element in such a non-gaming environment. Some very practical examples to illustrate what this could also mean. So you have the piano stairs, and here the idea was, okay, if we have a set of stairs and an escalator next to it, we want to make sure that more people try to take the stairs. Because taking the escalator is quite lazy, people get fat, let's just make them do the stairs, but let them have the autonomy and choice of taking the stairs. So what they thought is, okay, what if we make the stairs actual functioning piano tiles? So every step of the stair will make a sound. And what they found is that many more individuals decided to just use the stairs instead of the escalator because, oh, it's fun to make music and jump around and make some melody or whatever, maybe do it with your children. And you already see that it already, with such an easy application, motivates exercise in a certain group or audience. Another example is Folded, which was used to do some protein research. So some researchers thought, okay, we want to do more research in protein structures. And with the data set they had, they could do it, but it took a long time and they couldn't find new things. So they thought, okay, if we make a simple puzzle game, maybe 50, 100 people play this game, maybe they find some results, maybe not. And eventually 10,000s of gamers started to play the game every day, produce huge sets of data, which they still haven't been able to all handle and analyze. And it actually helped find new protein structures. It actually helped find some medicines. And that's a very easy way of supporting research by just creating a simple puzzle game. And one example everyone knows, I'm not the favorite of it, but it does exist, and it's a good example of gamification is Duolingo. So it kind of gamifies learning a language in the sense of it tries to stimulate learning by integrating leaderboards, bonuses, rewards for daily streaks, very gamified elements that you see in other games as well, and introduce it in an environment where it might stimulate you to learn. Because, of course, if you've done 5 days in a row, why not do the 6th and earn your sticker? Right, and then the 7th gives you a cookie as well. You don't know, and this very easily already stimulates this learning environment. So in short, gamification can really help with illustrating goals. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? And how do we get there? And what games do you need to play? It can help stimulate the users where, okay, I'm the second in line or I'm the first in line, or if we do it together, then we can win X, and really helps you get to certain goals and thereby support certain performances from the users. By stimulating such users in the environment, they will learn more and therefore their performance will increase as well. It is, however, very important to mention the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, in the sense that if I am intrinsically motivated, it means that the motivation comes from me. So I want to do this because I want it. Well, from extrinsically, it's because some outside body or organization said that, oh, if I give you this, you'll do it. And what you often see, of course, in gamification is if I give you a reward every time you do something, you're very extrinsically motivated to do it instead of you do it from within. So the whole idea of these games, or if you make a game that's meant for like a good social purpose, is that you start with some extrinsic motivation to get people hooked and interested into the topic, so that eventually, once they are actually known about the topic, they start to be motivated by themselves and want to know more about this topic. But gamification is quite broad, as you can assume, and as you can see. There are a bunch of ways where I can apply some gamification into some context where you can apply it, have fun, and learn. Some examples, of course, include healthcare, maybe manufacturing, making it fun to put a box together, or, of course, education, which is what we're talking about today as well. If you take the context of education, we often call it edutainment. So we move from A to B, so the gamification version of education is edutainment. And something that Walt Disney in 1954 was highly interested in and was a very big person for, because he wanted that entertainment needs to go past purely entertaining. He felt that it's valuable to also teach a topic while entertaining an individual. And that can be through giving a simple piece of information about a country or calculating or whatever, just so that if you watch a movie, it's also just educative for the people that watch this movie. And when you look at edutainment, it can help, similar to gamification, really stimulate this learning performance, because you're playing a game, you're learning about it, and that makes you better at things. Problem solving, in the sense that you are often expected to play such a game alone, so you have to give the solution instead of someone that stands behind you and tells you, oh, okay, this is the answer, or this is how you do it. You have to figure it out yourself because you play this game as an individual, so it's very self-directed. In collaborative games, of course, you learn to work together to find a certain solution, which helps you communicate as well. For us, we tried to combine this facial recognition technology topic together with entertainment and us Totem. And this is a short sneak peek trailer of what we made. This is purely to get you interested, right? But I'll explain what it actually is, because of course that doesn't say much. The Eye in Short is meant to be, is a mobile application that aims to teach facial recognition technology to high schoolers by using play in some form. And we always do this client-based. So we had a client this year called Night of the Nerds. Some might know it. They had an event yesterday, which you were at as well. And they are a creative tech expo every year here in Eindhoven, or sometimes on tour in other environments. And they said, okay, we would like you guys to make a game that teaches facial recognition technology awareness for this specific target audience, with the goal to increase the understanding and stimulate discourse. And we thought we can do that. And that's hopefully what we did, what you will see. So to give a short background on what the story is and what the game is about, is that you take the role of kind of a government employee. And you're meant to review cases and determining the guilt of people by looking at the pictures. So think, for example, a security guard sitting behind the security camera, looking at someone doing something suspicious and saying, okay, that's a dangerous individual. And the idea is that you, as the government employee, are tasked to train a facial recognition technology system and see if it aligns with what's actually the truth. And eventually throughout the game, which is 26 cases, you'll slowly be replaced by the system, where it starts learning better and better, where it's like, okay, no, so now it can take over. And you'll see that it will discuss topics like the biases that might exist within the technology because the data set is incorrect. We'll also talk a bit about image generation, so when it's actually a real image. Situational snapshots, maybe a picture was taken in a scenario or moment but didn't paint the whole picture. Deepfakes, so putting your face upon someone else's body, and many more. And we do this by giving a short introduction into the game. You play the game, not really a tutorial, just to get you immersed into the story. Then we give the tutorial. So once you're immersed, you can actually be part of it. And then we have 26 different topics, which you go through one by one, get some information about it, analyze the different images, make a certain reflection. So you see if you're correct compared to the system and what the actual result was. And eventually you'll get to some conclusion, which I won't spoil for anyone that wants to play the game. It will include this kind of twist, which is very important to this topic. And we did this through 3 different steps in a way. So we created an app, we created a toolkit, and a learning module. Because we felt that only an app, of course, I can give a student an app, they might play it similar to a book, and they'll play it, maybe learn something, maybe not, and then forget about it. And we thought at least it's important to supply some additional information for students that feel like it's valuable, or for parents, or for teachers, or whoever has some intrinsic motivation to learn about this topic. And this app we made quite simple, because you don't want flashy colors and distracting things. We want to keep it serious and realistic. And we try to make it in a sense similar to the mobile applications and the social media applications that the target users use. Because like I said before, 87.2% of them use social media, so they probably know how to swipe around and press the buttons. And if you make the application very similar to what they already know, it's easier for them to utilize such an application. So we made it very simple. First, you see some information about the person you're going to be analyzing. Then you see them in a certain scenario where the face was found. Then you make a certain judgment about them. Okay, I feel like this person is very dangerous because maybe he stole something, maybe he didn't. And then eventually I go on to a reflection page where it says, okay, I said it's dangerous. The system said it wasn't dangerous. And the actual situation was that yes or no. And then you get a kind of a reward for it. So congratulations, you did correctly, or unfortunately, you did not. To really stimulate those users throughout this process, get them motivated, getting to play the whole game, and go throughout the story. Like I said, we also have the toolkit. The toolkit is realistically purely meant to support the app. So either you go to the toolkit first and then go to the app, or the other way around. And here you can find information, maybe interesting ways to introduce it to family members, your children, maybe if you're in a classroom setting to your peers, and really provide the ways of teaching it. So, okay, first I recommend doing this step, introducing the topic. Okay, then we'll go on to playing a simple game. And this website will highlight all of this step by step. So if you want to learn about this topic or use the game, you have a support tool for it. Final thing we made was a learning module, which is in collaboration with the 4TU Alliance. So that is an alliance of all the technical universities here in the Netherlands, which created basically an application environment, like a website, where they can create modules on specific topics, and teachers, if they want, can go onto this website, find the topic they find interesting, have a 50-minute module with presentations and tools and whatever, immediately use it, apply it. And like you can see, here are some examples. Of course, unfortunately, it's all in Dutch because it's for Dutch high school students, but you can learn about CRISPR-Cas, how to work with AI or generative AI. And one of them will be how to learn about facial recognition technology, and that will also include our app. And it's basically meant as a standalone module where teachers, if they want, can introduce it into their classroom environment. We aim to publish our game on the App Store and the Google Play Store, which is going to be happening this month. Not right now yet, because there were some bugs we found yesterday. So, and as always, of course. So we'll still be continuing working on it, so it's done this month, and then it will be available for anyone that's interested. Like I said before, we're from Totem Game Dev, so we're a student team here at the TUE, but basically what that means, it's an extracurricular activity for students that next to their studies want to engage in a certain environment or goal. So it can, for us, be working for game development. It can, for other students, be organizing a conference about energy, sustainability, or building a race car, whatever you find interesting. For us, it's if you're interested in doing something with us or learning more about us, we have a website, a LinkedIn, and an Instagram, and you can scan them if you want. We'll also be here today. If you want to test the game, you can ask questions there as well, or connect with us. We have a stand there on that side. Yes, on that side, where you can talk to me, talk to my colleagues, and learn more about it. That's basically what I have for today. So if you have questions, feel free to ask.
Yes, thank you, Maarten. Do we have questions in the room?
So thanks for this interesting talk. Have you already like tested out with an audience of students?
Yeah.
And did you like survey them afterward whether they learned something or not? Like, was it effective?
Yeah, so our first user test was without a survey. So that was just to get them user testing it for the basis of, does this function? Because it's more important to first see if even the application works before giving them an educational thing where the application doesn't even work. And then, oh yeah, wait, they didn't learn anything because the thing is actually broken. But we currently have planned for this month as well a user test at an actual high school with the current students, to see that they learn something, what did they learn, what did they feel about the application as well, what should be different, what motivated them, that kind of stuff. So really we already have our ethical approval for it. We're currently planning that with high school, so yes.
Yes, thank you. Next one. You had some hands raised in, no. Yeah. Okay, well.
No. Just asking. Okay.
What I also really like, in addition to the previous question, like what I also wonder is whether people or students are going to change their behavior as a result of this. Do you have any predictions?
Well, I feel it's meant to make them aware about it, right? It's completely up to them if they want to do something with the information that they have, at least that they know that it could exist. And especially within this future where everything is changing slowly, right? At least from my experience. If everyone starts wearing the Ray-Ban glasses and knowing each other and basically gaslighting that I already know you, I feel it's at least valuable for them to know. I know that in the environment where students exist right now is not realistic that they won't post anything to social media anymore or less or different things, because realistically it will maintain the same, but at least want to make them aware about it. And that's our biggest goal.
Yes. So may I ask in between, first of all, how long is approximately like the playing of the students? And then also, did you do some type of, engineering that really boosts engagement? Because you don't have exactly the same use case. Like, for instance, you mentioned Duolingo. That one is really focused on everything addiction inducing. I guess yours is to play once and then...
Yeah. The idea is not for you. Of course, if you want, you can play it 20 times. That's already fine. No, the idea is really to have one standalone experience with it, learn from it, have the twist, and that's it. And that will be 1 to 1.5 hours. So that's already quite long, because every case will take you about 2 minutes. 26 cases times 2, 52, and probably take you a little bit longer. But overall, we've designed the game with specific things in mind to make them more engaged and interested in it. And that can already be from the sound behind it, because sound is a very large, important part of engagement in games, to 20 other things that we did in the background, from color to movement to distractions. Another fun thing we implemented is, while playing the game the whole time, there's a little eye that follows your finger around, which seems very silly, right? But in reality, when you're playing the game, it's some kind of engagement and motivation, like, oh, it's following me, right? And it feels silly, but the first time I saw it functioning, I actually got a bit unnerved by it. And these are already small details that we integrated to create this kind of engaging environment.
Yeah. Yes, another question.
Thank you for your presentation. How important is it to, when you're designing such an educational game and try to develop a story, to really have a passion about the ethics around this subject? Could you do this as a service, like give me new technology, I'll make an educational game about it? Or was it very important, especially for developing the story, that you had some personal investment in the technology?
For me, I noticed, especially also within the context of the team that we have, that it's very important that you're also motivated yourself about the topic, because otherwise you at one point won't like developing it anymore. Because if I work on this every week, every day, whatever, but I hate the topic, eventually either my work is going to be bad or I'm not going to work anymore on it, I'm going to be distracted. So I felt that if you want to work on this, you also should be interested in the topic. And if you're not interested in the topic, it might not be best to work on it. Of course, you can become interested into it. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, it sounds cool, but what does it entail? But after working on this for a year, I'm like, okay, I really understand the concept. I do like teaching this concept. This is also why I'm here today. So it's not that you can't become motivated, but if you have nothing to do with this topic, then I wouldn't recommend. But there are a bunch of companies also in Eindhoven and the Netherlands that just do it as a service. So they just say, okay, we'll make whatever you want. That functions, of course, from a business perspective, but I don't find it a realistic option, personally.
Hi. So one thing I was just thinking about during the talk, and I'm still trying to figure it out now, when I'm thinking about other examples that I know of that are things that have been gamified, there's always, in the ones I can think of at least, some kind of reward, you were talking about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. I mean, there's some motivation to do the thing, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like in this game that you're developing, there are both, I guess, positive motivations, but also like negative incentives. Like you were talking about the eye that follows your finger around. I mean, it's kind of creeping you out maybe a little bit, or it should. Maybe that's the intention. But can you talk actually maybe just a bit more about the specific like concepts of gamification that you were trying to incorporate? Just maybe to clarify, like when you're playing the game, what is the thing that makes me want to play this and learn more about facial recognition? And is it indeed based on like my intrinsic motivation to educate myself on the topic, or are you also kind of addicting me somehow with these kinds of other tactics? So just clarify, that would be cool.
Yeah, no, it's two sides. I'll give the biggest example because there are a bunch of minor ones. I'll give the biggest example and another. So the biggest thing is it keeps track of your score constantly. So you're doing it correct, you're doing it incorrect, and you always want to be correct. Like as humans, let's be honest, most of us wants to be correct in life. So constantly you're playing this game, you're leveling up, which is already a big example of gamification, because leveling up, becoming better, improving, growing. But then at the end of the game, you'll be able to see your score. And the idea is, because it's part of like a classroom experience, you can also go back to the classroom and as a teacher say, okay, who got this score, who got that score, and you can go back in the game, try to get it better, improve, learn from it. It's a one-time experience, right? But if you feel like you did very bad because the rest of the class is better, you might be more motivated to do it again, learn more from it. So in short, the ranked list concept, but also the getting better, promoting, becoming better. But overall, we also design things like I mentioned before, the audio design in there, which is less of the gamification part, but for something like we want to create a fun game, right? So the whole concept behind the game is that next to that it teaches you a topic, which if that's the only goal, it's eventually quite boring. It's also just a fun game. So the whole game is designed to even be playable if you don't want to learn about FRT at all. It's just a fun game. And then behind all it is that you'll secretly be learning about facial recognition technology.
I was wondering, like, is there maybe it's a spoiler, but do you record the user's face during the game, and do you transform it somehow or like incorporate it in the game?
It's part of the twist, not gonna lie. So the player is made aware by it, so don't worry that while you're playing the game it's constantly recording. But there is a moment that the player will interact with the game in some capacity and something happens to their face later on. But I won't spoil it because it's a big part of it. But basically, yes, in some capacity.
Okay, are there any more questions? It seems not, so yeah, let's thank Maarten again.